Hi, everyone. This is Trish Kendall, your host for the Choose and Become interview series. I am extraordinarily excited for my guest today, Abby. So, Abby, just say hi really quick, and then I'll put some context. So first, before I
Hi.
even informally introduce Abby, I just want to take a step back before we move forward for those of you that are new to the show, new to the interview series, just to set a little bit of context. I made 5 critical choices on my journey to enduring success. I picked up the phone when my sister called. That was a first choice. I committed to a two-way agreement. I built trust in myself and then inspired the trust of others. I created community and belonging. And finally, I embraced my boundless capacity to give love and to receive love. Now, these 5 choices for me were linear. For other people, they're not. But one of the things that I love about what I do is I get to, on this podcast series, interview people who I really admire and get their perspective and experience and lessons as it relates to these 5 choices. So, Abby is going to go along this journey. We're going to go along Abby's journey together. But here's the thing. So, Abby Rosado is the co-founder of Posh Beauty. Abby and I go, I mean, I want to say it's 10 years. We are about 10
I
years.
want to
And
say
so
we're about
Abby
10 years
is
now. Yeah.
my beauty queen. I don't know. But she is my stylist and my friend. She has been actually a mentor. And sometimes you think about age and experience and there being mentor and mentee, and age has nothing to do with it. When gosh, Abby, it had to have been 5 years
Right.
ago when I said to you, I want to double down on my inspirational mission.
hmm
And you
hmm
were the one, like
Yeah,
literally, I would
I
test
remember.
everything with you. I tested every message, every story, every what if. And I always thought about you and your journey and ability and
Mhm.
desire and commitment to create enduring success in your life.
Mhm.
And so you have been an inspiration to me. So thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, tell my
Thank
audience,
you.
tell my
Thank
community a
you.
little bit about you, and then we'll get right into it.
So I'm Abby. I have been in the beauty industry for, I want to say, like 11 years now. As soon as I graduated high school, I kind of just jumped right into it. I knew that was something I've always wanted to do. So as soon as I graduated Tony and Guy, I worked in a salon. I worked at Ulta at the salon there for many, many years. And I left and opened up my own business. Actually, I think next week will be
Wow.
one
Oh my
year
god.
since I've had my own business now. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's
So,
it's just
and now we're
awesome.
here.
And
Now we're here.
you have, well, and I just said this, I'll restate it in a different way. You have always shown me that the definition of success
Right.
is what you as the individual make it.
hmm
And you have always, every interaction I have with you, your
Absolutely.
glass is always half full. I mean, and you're just always so full of energy and hope and love and joy and all of those things. What I want to know from you is when we think about success
Mhm.
and creating success, what does enduring success mean to you?
Mhm. I think to me personally, I feel like enduring success, I mean, is just doing anything really that makes you happy, just like makes you feel like fulfilled, like gives you purpose. Anything that you really want to do, anything that you have focused on for so long, like just to do it, being
Beautiful.
happy,
And
anything
you
that gives you
have,
purpose,
well,
really.
actually, I want to add a little bit more context to Abby the person because this is what we talk about as well. You're a daughter, you're a sister.
Yeah.
right? And how old is your younger sister
Mhm.
now?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. And
She's 19 now.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy that the
I
the
know.
years just go by. And I think about you in that context too, as a sister to her, and
It's the
how you
best.
probably, I would
Yeah.
think, helped shaped her thinking and experience as it relates to success too, as she has seen her older sister grow.
It's funny because I just had my 10-year high school reunion not too long ago, and I was kind of on the fence about going, and she was like, "No, you have to go. You have to show off all the things that you've accomplished." And I'm like, "Oh my God," like to hear her say that, like
That's
kind of
awesome.
made
And
me
you went.
happy. So I was like, "You know what? You're right. I'm gonna go."
That's great. Okay, I'm going to ask you and get your perspective on each of these choices
Mhm.
as it relates to your journey to enduring success. And the first is making a
Okay.
first choice, because I just, at least I've experienced that success begins with making our own choice. Nobody can choose for us, right? So, as you reflect on your journey to where you
Right.
are today, is there a first choice that you made that has impacted your definition of enduring success and your achievement of it, and or your achievement of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think my first choice, as cliche as it sounds, is just kind of putting myself first. You know, my first choice was to just listen to myself and doing the things that I want to do instead of doing what everybody else, wants to do for you. Um, for me, I think a big wake up call, me personally, was COVID. I was out of work for 3 months, and I had a lot of time to kind of just like reflect on my life. And I'm the type of person where I always like try to challenge myself. I always try to do like, the next best thing for myself. And I think COVID really like made me reflect on my life a lot. And that, my first choice was to just do what was best for me. And with that
That's
was,
awesome. And
opening
you
up my
knew,
own
so you made the
business.
choice
So,
and then took whatever steps and whatever time, and to where
mhm.
now you're celebrating your 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, and I think, timing is everything. I don't think you should just like rush into it. I think
Totally.
just take your
Uh,
time, make sure it's the
I
right move for
remember,
you.
oh my gosh, I remember us talking. This was years ago, Abby, years ago. And we were talking about um,
Mm.
choices that we make in order to get us to where we want to go. And we were talking about money. And do you remember what,
Yeah.
and how you made decisions
No, I
about
remember
what you
that.
spent and how you spent it, cash versus credit card. But like
Yep.
I remember that so much,
Yeah.
in thinking that you have a first choice, and then
Mhm.
what are you doing after that in order to prepare? And you had already had this mindset and philosophy around financials and preparing yourself for the next success, that you were able to be ready to open up your own salon.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, maybe it's from, my childhood, but I think I just always had that mindset, like kind of just have to prepare yourself for like anything that's going to happen,
Yeah,
and
and that
I
has
kind of
stayed
just
with
stuck with
me.
that,
That's one of the little stories that has stayed with me. Yeah, yeah,
That
and
is so
well,
funny.
whatever.
I
I
do
would
remember
digress on
that.
that,
That's
because I
so
think it is
funny.
something that women and younger women really need to think about, to prepare themselves for being able to make whatever choices they want to make. And so you lead the way with that. The second
Absolutely.
critical choice I made
100%.
was to commit to a two-way agreement. And now, for me, this was an agreement between me and my big sister, and it was a near contractual agreement. Since then, I've committed to many two-way agreements. The power is in committing. And what I experienced through my sister, and that two-way agreement, is that when I finally chose to commit, my actions transformed from, oh my God, I have to do these things, to I want to do these things. Like this duty and obligation to desire. When I think about two-way
Sure.
agreements, it could be two people, it could be two entities, it could be, two parties, but it's the intent of coming together to achieve a mutually beneficial outcome. Now, I know one of your two-way agreements already, but I'm not. But is there a two-way agreement that you've entered into that through the commitment, you're like, you know what? I really gave and I got.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think for me, I think most people would have like that second
Mhm.
person. I want to say I've had a two-way agreement within myself. Um, I just feel like I've always kind of like held myself like accountable for like everything that I've done in my life, like yeah, I've had the support from my family and my friends, but I've always been like my biggest cheerleader. I've always been, that person that motivates my own self. So I think when I've had all these things and all these goals for myself, I was really making that two-way agreement with myself and proving to myself that I'm capable of accomplishing all these things, whether I have a support system or not.
Is
So, yeah,
awesome.
I think
And have you ever
I
had
would
to
say myself in
recalibrate? Have
that.
you ever had to just stop and
Yeah.
to yourself and go, whoa?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I'm my own like biggest critic. I don't think I give myself like more credit than I deserve, but I find myself looking back now and being like, "Oh my God, like I did that. Like I did that for myself." And it's been a really beautiful
Is
journey to
there
watch for
okay, so now
sure.
I'm going to take us to because it's a beautiful example. And when I said, "Oh my gosh, I know a
Mhm.
two-way agreement," well, you and Taylor, when you co-founded Posh Beauty, and I've seen that manifest
Yeah,
with
for
with
sure.
you and Taylor and the success of that. Is there any other two-way agreements that you'd be like, this is something that I might need to enter into in the future? And there might be like absolutely no, but I'm always just curious.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I
Well,
don't
you
think
just
I've
made a bid
really
one a
like
year ago.
thought about it, to be completely honest. Yes, yes, that was my big one for sure, for sure.
So the third critical choice that I
Absolutely.
made was
Absolutely.
to build trust. Now, for me, it started with building trust in myself. Like I literally had no trust in myself. And then once
Hmm.
I built trust in myself, then I was able to inspire the trust of others. And through this process, I learned that if I do the little things great, great things can happen. So I'm going to ask you probably three components here.
Yeah,
One is, have you had how do you build trust in
sure.
yourself? And then I'll switch it to inspiring the trust of others. And then I want to get your perspective on little things. So just start us out with you and building trust in yourself.
Yeah. I feel like it took a long time for me to trust myself. I'm not going to lie. And I think it's because of, some of the positions that I was in before. I think being in like toxic relationships and just being in toxic environment, when you just put your trust into somebody else and you kind of lose the trust that you have for yourself, you start to resent yourself. You start to do all these things. And yeah, I think now I definitely trust myself because I've put myself first in a lot of, choices that I've had to make,
Which goes
that I
back to your
used to
first
never,
choice.
do before. So
Right.
yeah,
It all and go on.
exactly.
It's all a circle. But
It,
once you
it's
made
it's
that
all a
choice to put
circle.
yourself first, do you feel it permeate through your all your life
Yeah.
decisions? That it's a constant.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then it comes with everything else. It's, it comes with, you know, hanging out with people, and because now you have trust in with yourself, you can
It
trust being
is.
around other people
Now,
too, and
how do
it's just full
people
circle from there
inspire
on.
your trust? How do people earn your Abby's trust?
I think just being open. Just being open, just being like authentic, like just being yourself. Like that is what gains my trust, is just being vulnerable, being able to like be yourself and be authentic to all the
And
capacity
why?
capacity.
This is a rhetorical question, but I'm still going to ask you if you want to give me, like, why do we hold back so much?
Mhm.
We, as just individuals and humans, when it comes to showing up in the interaction and just bringing ourselves to it. Because that's trust. Right, go on.
I think because yeah, no, I think it's, you know, being scared, that fear of like rejection, like that fear of like, okay, well, if I open up to somebody else, what if I don't get that back? I
Totally.
think
And
honestly
then
it's
it is
just
so
fear.
interesting because I experience what you experience when I can tell when someone, which is what really connected me to you instantly, is I can you can
Mhm.
tell when someone is raw and authentic. Right, you can tell. And I try not
Absolutely.
to
Yeah.
hold
Yeah.
it against anyone when they're not, because I understand the
Mhm.
barriers to it. But when they are, it's almost instant, an
Right.
instant connection. Right.
Instant. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'm a big believer is you surround yourself with the people who are like you. Um, I've always been crucial when it comes to that, like you are the people you surround yourself. You're gonna gravitate the people who are like
So this third
yourself.
one that I always want to get perspective on is in the trust category, but it could fall into other things. The idea of doing the little things great. For me, when I did the little things, made good small choices every day. When I was selling gym memberships at Gold's Gym, you know my story.
Hmm.
That helped me build trust in myself. Um, are there little things or small choices that you make in your day consistently?
Maybe. I don't know.
So
That's a good
reflect on
question.
it.
That's a
See,
good
because
question.
sometimes
Yeah.
it becomes a habit, right? And we're talking about the good habits that the
Yeah.
compilation of these small choices that in fact then create this big outcome. So you reflect on that, and I bet maybe there is.
Right. Right.
Um, let's go to the fourth choice. So the fourth critical choice that I made was
Okay.
to create community and belonging. And actually, I'd say really it started out, my choice was to create friendship. I, I was 30 years old. I was friendly with everyone, friends with
Hmm.
no one. And I wanted to be a friend and I wanted a friend. That
Hmm.
was really the push. What I
Hmm.
realized is what was
Hmm.
missing is I didn't belong anywhere. And then through my own actions, I learned that belonging takes action. Like you kind of got to make it happen on both sides. You've got to make it happen on both sides.
Hmm.
So
You do.
I'd like to start with belonging and then go to community a little bit. I think we probably, everybody has felt at some point not belonging. You know, what it feels like to not belong. Let me say that word clearly.
Right.
For you, what does it feel like to not belong? And then if you want to share a story, share a story.
I think to feel like
Mhm.
you don't belong is to feel like you're misunderstood. Misunderstood, and just like honestly like living in a different planet than everybody else. And it's so funny because I still feel like I kind of struggle with that right now, where, like you said, like you were in your 30s and you had so many friendships, but you never really found like your circle. Um, I feel like I still sometimes I feel like I don't belong for sure. And it's sad. It is sad. And I think, for me, it's just because I've been so accustomed to just like being independent and just relying on myself for everything, that I almost forget, like, you know what? Like, wouldn't it be nice to like ask, not even asking for help, but just like call someone up and be like, hey, instead of me doing this by myself, do you want to like, come with me to do that? I think that's something that I'm definitely, willing to work on for sure, is not feeling like I have to do everything myself and
Oh,
letting
Abby,
other
I think
people in.
the,
So,
the
yeah.
parallel, I never want to make this interview about my story, but I cannot not insert the journey that you and I went on, that helped me create, craft, and tell my story.
Right.
The feeling of being
Mhm.
independent, financially, emotionally, physically,
Mhm.
for me, and what I heard from you as you've shared with me, and even right now, so important, and almost like a definition of success. And to go back to what you were saying, like
Yeah.
that independence and doing things on your own, amazing, awesome. You are where you're at.
Mhm.
And now being able to, not even being able to, but
Right.
just an acknowledgement of, there's more. There's more on your
Yeah. Exactly.
journey.
Exactly.
And
There
then
is
the
more.
willingness and desire to figure out
Yes,
how to
there
create
is.
it. I mean, I joined a running club. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna run a step in my life. I barely run now, but those women are still to this day a big part of my community. So now how about this?
I love that. I
Let's
love
do the
that.
flip. When you do feel a sense of belonging,
Mhm.
reflect on how that feels. Those moments that you have that sense of belonging.
Yeah, I think in those moments, you feel seen. You feel seen, you feel heard, you feel safe. Like it's almost like
Mhm.
a weight has lifted off of your
And that's
shoulders
what
in
we
that
want
moment.
more of. And not just for ourselves, but like when you think
More of,
about,
for
the
sure.
people around
For
you, your
sure.
sister, your mom, people you love. Oh my God,
Yep. Yep.
our loved ones. I want
Right.
every single person in my circle, you, to feel that, to feel that. Okay, I want to go to communities
Mhm.
for a minute.
Yeah,
Tell
absolutely.
me about some of the communities that you are a part of right now. Right?
I'm not sure if I'm in
Which,
any
right, like
communities
that's a
right now, to
part
be
of
completely
the conversation
honest.
that I feel so connected to you in that way of where you are on your journey. Because it has been, Abby, and now,
Yeah.
yep,
It's
and
been a
Abby
journey.
and your
It's been a
success and all
journey.
this. And now I think about Posh Beauty. I think about Posh Beauty for sure being a community,
Mhm.
a, a community. So how about this? Because
Yeah.
you and
Yeah.
I see each other. Actually, we're going to see each other on Thursday. Nobody think about anything when you're looking at me because I am a week
Yeah.
late looking and seeing Abby, but I did curl my hair for you. I did curl my hair. Uh, so because I do see you every 5 weeks,
Love
I
that.
want to I want to be a part of your journey in
Mhm.
hearing the things that you might contemplate or do to create. that sense of belonging within a community that expands what you're doing today.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you'll keep sharing with me. You'll keep sharing with me.
I love that.
Okay,
I love that.
the
I love
fifth
that.
critical choice that I made. Well, how about this? For me, those first four choices were linear. I had to make a first choice. I had to pick up the phone before I had ever had a chance to commit to a two-way agreement. Through committing to a two-way agreement with my sister, I realized I wanted to build trust in myself. Through building trust in myself, I realized, I achieved independence, but realized I didn't belong and I wanted to. So those things were linear for me. I wouldn't have been able to make the fifth choice without them. So the fifth critical choice I made was to embrace my boundless capacity to give love and receive love. And what I'm talking about is not love the emotion, which is not a choice, but I am referring to love the verb, love the action that is a choice. And the first thing
Mhm.
is I realized that there actually is no cap to how much love we have to give and no cap to how much love we can receive,
Yeah.
except our self-inflicted cap, because that's been capped at for a really long time. Okay, people
Right,
ask me all
right.
the time, Trish, how, like, what is love the verb? And I always throw it back to them. And so I always want to get my guest perspective, and I want to get your perspective on this because love the verb, I think, manifests differently for different people at different times. Is there an example or a manifestation of how you would say you give love? So, from my perspective, giving love is showing up in my interaction with you, Abby, as me. Like, I'm going to give you my total, raw, authentic me. Now, you give me
Yeah.
love back by reciprocating that. So for me, that is an example of
Yep.
giving love.
Yep.
Listening, when I just think about, staying focused with the person that I'm with, being intentional with that person, like that is actually an act of
Yeah.
giving my love because usually I'm doing a grocery list in my head or my business stuff in my head. So I think there's just probably a gazillion examples.
When I met my boyfriend, my current boyfriend now, I feel like I had to learn so many things about myself, to be patient, to be kind, to look at, it through a different like point of eye. And I feel like for me, it showed me a lot. Like from being in previous toxic relationships, I didn't have a good representation of what communicating was, so when I met my boyfriend Jency, I feel like I had to learn all of these new things and to be patient. And because I allowed myself to like be that way, he then could be patient with me as well.
That's
So I feel like,
awesome.
just
And your
honestly like
choice
meeting
to be
him.
reflective on what are the things that I need to do.
Yeah,
And he
exactly. Right. To like be
and
able to
there
like open
is,
up
well, how about this?
again.
How does it feel? How does it feel to have done that, to do that?
No, it feels great. Like it feels amazing because now I have someone in my corner
And it
who
took your
will
step
always
first,
show up for me.
which is a risk. Oh, I'm not. I think
Yes,
sometimes showing up with that full intention of giving love in whatever way we just manifest it is a risk. It almost goes back, right, when I asked you, why do people
it
not
is a
show up
risk.
being authentic and raw of fear? I feel the same way when it comes to this,
Hmm. Hmm.
communication.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, right.
Fear of
But
it not
then
being
when we take
reciprocated,
the risk in the right setting, in a
Hmm.
safe setting, with the right person, what you
Yep.
got back, and then does it fuel
Yep.
you? Like what when you get it back?
Oh, 100%.
Right. And that just
100%.
keeps it going. Well, uh you, Abby, I mean,
For sure.
I should like write a story about just my journey of sharing my story. And you would be a central character in that story. I appreciate you.
Mm,
I respect you. I'm inspired by you. And I love that you always
thank
gave
you.
me your input, your feedback, your what ifs and what abouts. And I really think
Mhm.
this podcast was a manifestation of you and I talking about, what people, think about and what they want to share and all that stuff. So you gave me your love for the last 10 years. And I am so grateful to share
Oh,
a little bit of
oh,
you, a little bit of Abby with my community and the people out there that I
thank
want to
you.
inspire for them to create their own journeys to enduring success. And I can't wait
Yep,
to
I
get these
love that.
little
Thank you so
nuggets out to
much.
everyone. So thank you for joining me for this Choose and Become interview series. Be on the lookout for Abby. Choose and Become. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Choose and Become interview series. To check out more episodes, go to www.trishkendall.com/podcast or go to any of your favorite podcast channels, including YouTube, under Trish Kendall Speaks, and you'll find this interview and more. Choose and Become.